What's up, guys? In the works, and yes, another underused weapons, and we're going to be using the PP-19, also known as the PP-19, but admittedly, this is a weapon that I don't use a lot. Therefore, I was like, this has got to be a pretty good candidate for the underused weapons. I know a lot of you guys have requested it, but we're also going to talk a little bit about underused weapons in general, the future of this series here, a little bit later on. But let's talk about this weapon first, because isn't this a weird one? It's so strange to me. Like, I was really excited when I saw it was in the Karkan DLC, because I was like, oh, it's the Bison or whatever it's called. I was like, oh, that's a cool weapon. I've played with it in Counter-Strike. I've seen it in a few other games, and I was like, it'd be cool to see it in Battlefield 3. But then I found out it was going to be a PDW, and we all know what that means. PDWs in this game are extremely underpowered, at least some of them. And then I was like, well, it'll have a big magazine. Well, I didn't think that it would be as weak as it is. I think it's a 16.7 damage weapon at its max. That's pretty bad. I mean, that's a lot of bullets even when you're up close. I mean, it does have a good rate of fire. I think it's around 900. Yeah, I think it's 900. I wanted to say 950, but I think it is 900. So it does shoot rather fast. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, the rate of fire on it's nice and high, and it doesn't have a lot of recoil. That's one of the strange things about it. It kind of reminds me of the MP7's recoil. So if you're used to that, you'll be used to this. I think it pulls 0.3 to the left, 0.3 to the right, and 0.2 up. And now that's pretty good. I mean, pretty flat. You won't really have a hard time staying on target. It doesn't bounce around a lot. Now, you're probably looking at this setup, you're like, Jake, what are you doing? Why are you using a suppressor on close quarters? Well, I had a lot of inner turmoil when I was trying to figure out what attachments I wanted for this. And I was thinking about it, I was like, man, in most situations, I'm going to be doing less than max damage anyways with this thing. I mean, that's just going to be the nature of the beast. It's always going to be around the same bullets to kill anyways, so I might as well use the suppressor. And, I don't like suppressor a lot. I know I've talked about this in past videos, but the ability to have suppressor and laser sight was really important to me. I was like, I'm going to try this out. I think this is the way to go. I think that it can be very effective with this setup, and I was rather pleased with the results of using this. It keeps you off the radar, and I know radar is not really that important in close quarters, because even if you fire a shot below someone, they still can't see you on the radar, because if you don't know, the levels kind of affect that. If you get spotted on one level and you go up to the next level, I think it all changes around a little bit. So needless to say, I wasn't really sure that this was the smartest idea. I was kind of second guessing myself, but I have found that the suppressor is the best way to go. The results are really good on this thing. I like it with suppressor. So if you're looking for a good PP-19 setup, suppressor might be the way to go. And I just said suppressor like 7 times in like 10 seconds. But anyways, and laser sight, it's a pretty, that's pretty much a gimme. I tried it with the tactical light. Took that off pretty fast. Can't say I'm a fan of that. I've never used it, never really been a big fan of it, and I was like, man, let's try some different attachments, because I know you guys get bored of the same old thing, and I figured I'd be a little bit of a douchebag and run around with the tac light, and it actually hurt me. I feel like I think in most situations I was actually nerfing myself, but this thing takes a lot of bullets to kill, and that's the downside to it. The high rate of fire kind of makes up for it, but still feels like a pea shooter to me. I'd much rather have either the P90 or the PP-2000. So if you're going for a PP shooter, go for the PP-2000, go for the P90. Try out those guys. Those guys are the superior pea shooters. But yeah, the underused weapons. I've talked about this in the past, how I don't want underused weapons to kind of get worn out, because we get to the point where we've done every weapon. And I know a lot of you guys are like, well, blah, 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 this isn't an underused weapon. And that's not the point of this series, guys. The point of this series is to show you guys new weapons that you don't see a lot of people using. Weapons that are more, not as mainstream. And I try to avoid weapons that are in the top 20 percentile, I guess we'll say, of the most kills on Battlefield 3 stats. So I do look into which weapons are used, which weapons are maybe underappreciated. Just because you see X weapon in X scenario doesn't necessarily mean it's a heavily used weapon. If you play a lot of No Shooters Canal, TDM, you're going to see a lot of shotguns, which may seem like the Saiga 12 gauge is overused, and it's really not, guys. Like, I play a lot of Battlefield as of late. I don't know what it is. I've been playing a lot more lately, and honestly, those shotguns only get used on like 2 maps, and it's only TDM. So to me, that shotgun was underused, and that's why I decided to do it. But overall, this series I think is needing to come to an end, because we are kind of overstaying our welcome. But let me know what you guys think. Would you like me to revisit some old weapons? Maybe that would kind of extend the life of the underused weapons series. Maybe we can take a look at some of the old weapons, kind of get an idea of what has happened, how they've evolved. Maybe they're not as underused as they used to be, because I haven't done the G3 again, I haven't done the QBZ again, and they have been patched, they have been changed a little bit. So let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing that, and I'm looking for your feedback. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this short little episode. The PP-19 is not horrible, but I understand why people don't use it. It is a more frustrating weapon to use because it is a pea shooter. It's a little bit more tricky to use, but I will see you guys next time. Peace.